Introduction to Super Buddhism by Koji Komiya Part One. Searching, the story of Buddha. Buddha, whose real name is Siddhartha Gautama, was born about 2,500 years ago as the child of the king of a small fiefdom ruled by the Shakya tribe in the foothills of the Himalayas, in a corner of what is now Nepal. To this day, no one knows the population of the Shakya or what language they spoke. However, some Buddhist scriptures state that the Shakyas belonged to the Kosala kingdom, as one of the two great powers of the time that divided India between themselves at the time, the other being the Magadha states. So it is assumed that the Shakya tribe were a fiefdom of the Kosala state. The descriptions of servants consuming white rice suggests that the country was hard-working and industrious, and prospered through agriculture. In India, there was a class system known as caste, with a monk called Brahmin at the top, and the idea that the monk was the greatest in the world, who conveyed the will of God to this world, rather than the warrior or merchant. As is still the case today, Indian monks ran large temples in various parts of the country and performed rituals, and even kings and ministers of great powers such as Kosala and Magadha became parishioners of these temples and took sanctity in the worthy deity, which was a custom that could not be disregarded. The Brahmin monks were highly respected by the people. In addition, a spiritual culture of enlightenment through yoga and meditation had taken root in India since that time, and apart from these Brahmins, there was a culture of saints who opened chakras, had 200 or 300 disciples, established schools, gathered local followers, and taught them. One such practitioner at the time, who made his way beyond caste and became a saint, was known as the Asita hermit. He lived with his disciples halfway up a mountain in the Himalayas, not far from the territory of the Shakyas, and was a great saint with his own ashram. One day, while meditating, Saint Asita had a revelation. It was a prophecy that a Buddha would be born into the royal family of the Shakya tribe, located in the foothills of the Himalayas, and that he would preach his teachings to gods and man, and to all living beings. Hermit Asita himself used astrology and knew the signs of Buddha's coming birth, but not the exact location. But thanks to his psychic vision, he was told that night by the gods of the heavens where and when Buddha was to be born. He joyfully descended the mountain to the palace where Buddha's birth was to take place. The king of the Shakya tribe was called Shuddhodana. He was soon to lose his queen. She died shortly after giving birth to the child. The baby who would become Buddha was therefore taken care of by his father and nanny, and was named Siddhartha. When Hermit Asita made a sudden visit to the royal palace of King Shuddhodana, the king was surprised and joyfully welcomed him into his palace. "I have come here because I have been told by those in the heavens that the child has been born here who will be the king of the world. May I please have a glimpse of the child?" said Hermit Asita. When the hermit told him what had happened, Shuddhodana was greatly surprised again, and joyfully handed over his child to him. The hermit, who was versed in divination, mantras, and human facial characteristics, took the child in his arms, said, "O great child," chanted a sutra, and offered blessings to the child on behalf of the gods. While the hermit was looking closely at the baby's face, the baby unintentionally kicked him lightly in the face with his tiny foot. Shuttotana was startled and soon saw a single tear streaming down the saint's cheek. Then Saint Asita began to speak. He said, "I am weeping because I am already old, and I feel sorry that I will not be able to listen to the great words that the child will speak when he grows up. When he grows up, if he aspires to the way of man, he will become a world-unifying Chakravartin king, and if he aspires to the way of mind, he will become Buddha, preaching the universal teachings that will forever be the foundation of this world." So the hermit predicted the future of the baby. Shuttotana was surprised by the saint's words and could not hide his delight. As a king leading a small country that was situated between major powers and could be attacked at any time, there was nothing more reassuring than the prophecy that his son would become a great king who would reign over the world. What was worrying, however, was the prophecy that he would become a hermit and a monk in pursuit of the path of the mind. For the realist Shuttotana, such a prophecy was therefore not a welcome one. He had ambitions for his son Siddhartha to work with him to create a powerful state by the use of armed forces and thereafter succeed him as king. It would be very troubling if his heir to the throne had disregarded imperialism and entered into the otherworldly and incomprehensible world of meditation and enlightenment. The king therefore later tried to eliminate his son's exposure to spiritual things as much as possible, giving him a life centered on earthly pleasures and studies in line with imperialism, in order to raise him to become a Chakravartin king who would rule the world.